Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. Today I'm here for another very long video, so be aware of that. And today's video is pens for May of 2021. Last month this video had 39 pens and I'm reducing the pens that I have inked at a given moment, and I am failing completely because this month I have 43 pens. So this video will take forever, and let's make forever a little bit shorter and start right now. So as usual, some of pens have been used before, some are inked for the first time this month, and that's what I'm going to show you. And here we have the first pen is this pen. This is a old friend of ours. I've been using this pen for much time now because I really love it, and I've been using it since almost since I got it, because I really like this pen. And this first pen is the Nettuno 1911 Black Sands, and it has a fine steel nib, although the nib is quite wet and broad for a fine, but it is an amazing nib. And it has Waterman purple inside. And this ink is amazing. The nib allows for some line variation, as you can see. Very good. And it is quite wet, as you may see. So this is a very good pen. It had a problem with the plating of the nib, but otherwise the performance is really great. So this is our first pen of today. Let's go to the second one. The second one is this is an Italian pen, and we go from Italy to China, and we have a Moonman pen. And this is the Moonman M1000 Walnut with a fine steel nib, and the ink it has inside is Noodler's Brexit. This nib is also a Bock nib, like the nib on the Nettuno. It is also a fine nib, but it is it has a different feel on the paper. It is more feedbacky, so you can see the pen. Very nice. This is metal. Some people complain about it slipping or being slippery, but I don't find that as a problem. I still need to make a review of this pen. I didn't do it yet. But the feel of the nib is different, but this is a very nice pen. Obviously, it is inspired by a Montblanc pen, but it is a very good pen. So this is the Moonman M1000 in walnut wood. The next pen is from Italy. So we'll be as usual flying between countries. So this comes from Italy. This is a pen with an amazing finish, and I hope someday I will be able maybe to use the YouTube money to... Unfortunately, YouTube will be cutting heavily the amount of money YouTubers will earn. At least YouTubers outside the US, we will be taxed with 25%. But okay, doesn't matter. This pen is an amazing, and there is another finish of this pen. So this is the Montegrappa Mia. There is a Mia in a special edition, there is a Mia in regular edition. This is the regular edition, and this resin is amazing. It looks like somebody was making a oil painting and lots of ink ran down a wall and make this pattern. I think this pen is amazing. I really like it. It's a Montegrappa. It has the new Montegrappa logo there, and it has a steel nib from Montegrappa. So this is the Montegrappa Mia. The finish is called Meteor Shower. It has a medium nib and it has inside diamine, I don't know, chocolate brown. This is a beautiful ink. And I really like this pen, although you can see this is a medium, but it is really between the medium of the Nettuno and the fine of Nettuno and the fine of the Moonman. This medium is in the middle of those. So this is useful for us to think that it's like clothing. If you look at clothes from several brands, the sizes of clothes are different from brand to brand, and even in the same brand, sometimes they are very strict in one type of clothing and very different in some other, even in the same brand. So we need to get used to these, and the size of the nibs are not an exact science. Forget about it. You don't know by that. So the next pen is from Italy to Germany, and we have 4 Lamy pens. This is very well known. This is a Lamy 2000 in steel. It is a beautiful pen. I had some trouble with this pen, but it is an amazing writer. So this is the Lamy 2000 steel. This pen is a nightmare to show on camera and to light properly because it reflects the light in a very special way. With a medium gold nib, so it is the first gold nib of today, and it has Waterman South Sea Blue. And it's called like that because I have an older bottle, because the ink is no longer called South Sea Blue, but I'm using the name of the bottle. That is in the bottle. Here you have the nib, a semi-hooded nib, which is quite nice. There will be a couple of semi-hooded nibs on this video. The next pen is, as I told you, a Lamy. And this is a different one. It still has the sticker. I'll remove it, but I didn't do it yet. I think I'm waiting for it to fall on its own. Also, very difficult pen to light. And this is a Lamy CP1 in steel, which is not very common. So this is the Lamy CP1 matte steel, with also a medium nib. And for example, here you have a nib that is much more feedbacky than the medium nib that is on the Lamy 2000. One has a steel nib, the other one has a gold nib, but they are just different. This one has also the same ink because I want to make a versus video about them, but I still need to review this pen first, so I'm a little bit late in my plans of videos. South Sea Blue. I think you can even hear the different sound that this pen makes on the paper. It has the very regular Lamy Safari, CP1, Vista, etc. nib, but this has no markings on it because it is an older version. This is no longer available. So if you search for them, you'll have all these pens available, easily available as new in stores. The Lamy CP1 is no longer around. The next pen, by the way, I will put links below for the reviews that I made, if I already made the reviews of those pens, and I will also make links for stores where you can buy them if they are available. So don't forget to search it because it might be useful. The next pen is this is a Lamy Safari. It's called Lamy Safari Original Terra Red. It is the special edition for 2021, and it came in two colors, Terra Red and Savannah Green. Savannah Green is already out of ink, but now I have this one inked. So this is the Lamy Safari Original Terra Red. And sorry, I had a notification here on my phone. I forgot to silence the phone. Sorry, let me just... Okay, because I'm recording these videos on my phone and I forgot to put it in silence, sorry. So this is the Terra Red with a fine steel nib, a black nib on this Lamy. And it has inside the Great Fountain Mystery Brown. This is an Italian brand that I like, and I will be reviewing this ink very soon. It's not a matching ink because this is a brown, this is a Terra Red, but they are quite close because that is a light brown with some reddish tints to it, so I think it makes sense on this pen. And the next pen will be a pen that I received very recently from Appleboom. This pen is on loan for review, but I think I will buy this one from Appleboom because I really like this pen. I like this color. This is an amazing finish. The color is very, very beautiful. I really like it. And it is also a Lamy. It has a nib that is somehow similar with the Safari nib, but it's not exactly the same. So this is the Lamy Aion Dark Green, and this is a limited edition for 2021. So both these pens are limited editions. There are regular editions like the silver and the black, and there were two special editions from the past which were red and blue, and they are not available anymore unless some store still has some remains of stock. The ink that is inside this pen is the Diamine Inkvent calendar from 2019, because there will be another advent calendar this year, so I'm quite excited with that. Do you think it is interesting to buy one and to review it, as I did the other year, where I reviewed each pen one each day to show you all the pens? If you think that's useful, please tell me, because I'm thinking of buying that Inkvent calendar, the edition for this year. So I'm changing here the light a little bit because I'm having too many shadows, and I think I understood why I need to change something. Okay, now the other light is turned on, so I think it's easier now. Sorry, sometimes there are some things that miss. Next pen is still in Germany, but a different brand. Rotring no longer makes fountain pens except for the art pens. This is a kind of a mythical pen, the Rotring 600 in black with a steel nib. So, Rotring 600 black with a medium steel nib, and it's written here and also on the nib somewhere there. And it has inside Visconti red, and this pen and ink combination is really good. The nib is very stiff, no line variation, but it is quite wet. I think this is a great combo. It is a strange pen. Clearly it isn't a pen from 2021. It is an older pen. You can see that in the construction and in the style. Next pen is from Japan, and it is this beautiful pen. I've been showing these since last year. It has been currently inked, constantly inked. I just fill it in again. Some people usually sometimes clean the pen before filling it again. Because I'm filling it with always the same ink, I don't clean the pen, I just refill it. And this is the Sailor King of Pen in the dark green champagne that you can see. It is a little transparent and it is a beautiful pen. Big one with a big nib. Gold nib, this one is a 21 karat gold nib. So, Sailor King of Pen, this is the profit, which means it is the cigar shaped one. Dark green champagne, and it has a medium nib, and it has inside Montblanc that I finished the bottle. I'm just using the last few milliliters that are in my Visconti traveling inkwell. Montblanc Daniel Defoe, which is a beautiful ink. This pen allows for some line variation, as you can see, and it is very wet. It is a very, very, very good pen. The next pen I want to show you is also from Sailor, so also from Japan, and it is a small pocket pen that becomes quite big when you post it. It has a gold nib. Focus please, there, 14 karat gold nib. So this is a Sailor, let's call it pocket pen. I don't know any specific name of the model, with a fine gold nib, and it has a Sailor black cartridge inside. It has much more feedback than the King of Pen, and it will not provide line variation, but it is quite wet. So this is a very good pen to carry around with you because it is small and will perform very well. And now, from Japan, we'll go back to a place where we were before, Germany. And in Germany, what do you think is one of my brands? My favorite brands? Of course, Kaweco. So the first pen that I have to show you is the Kaweco Special in brass with a fine steel nib, and inside it has the Pelikan 4001 brilliant red ink inside. And this nib has no line variation, no special effects, and it is more on the dry side as expected. It is a nice pen. I'll need to review it soon. It is more like a pencil shaped and size pen, but it is quite nice. Now, the next pen is also a Kaweco, and it is a completely different thing from this. It is the Liliput, which is much smaller. It is round, not hexagonal or octagonal. It is different. You need to post it to be able to write with it because it's very small. It is made of copper, which I love, and it will get patina. It's very nice. This is the Kaweco Liliput copper with a fine steel nib, and inside it has some ink mix. As I was telling you, even inside the same brand there are size differences. So if you try to force a little bit the nib of a Kaweco, of this particular Kaweco Liliput, I actually can get some line variation. But on the nib of that is on the Kaweco Special, I could not. But the nibs are the same, so I can even change them, but the sizes are not always consistent. So just to let you know, it is wet enough and this ink mix has a very strange color, almost a bluish black. That's how I would describe it. And from the Liliput you'll go to an even more different Kaweco pen. And the other pen that is very, very different is this interesting thing. That is the, sorry, I wasn't screwing here something. It is the Kaweco Perkeo, and I'm seeing there, I think there, okay. I was watching something that I didn't understand. There was like this yellowish spot there, but it's actually some marking of the production code, I think. But it is visible, and it looks like it is a stain, but it isn't. So, this is the Kaweco Perkeo. It is a very big pen in a plastic, clear plastic. So, it is the Kaweco Perkeo, all clear, with a fine steel nib, also the same kind of nib as the other ones, and inside it has the Kaweco Palm Green, which is a color that I like. And I think today the colors you'll see the most will be the greens and blacks, maybe, I think. So far we have 3 blacks, not bad. 3 greens and only 1 black, so maybe not as much black as I thought. Now, let's go for even a different pen. This is a Kaweco Sport. This is very fun. This is really a fun pen. This is the Hello Kitty, and you can see there Hello Kitty and the little ribbon or papillon, or how we call that. And you can see the face of Hello Kitty on this Kaweco nib. And this is the Kaweco AL Sport Hello Kitty. It is a very nice pinkish color with a fine steel nib, and the ink is a Divine Design pink cartridge, which has a very nice color. This one has no line variation also, and it is really more on the dry side, as you can see in the smear test. That will be all contaminated because my finger is now dirty with other inks, but that's what I do. And one more Kaweco today, the last one, is this one. This pen is not officially released yet. It will be released in a few days, and it is the Kaweco Collection Vibrant Violet. It is a very beautiful pen, and you can see in comparison that this pen is much darker, and it's really purple or violet, and this is a pink one. So this is the new special edition from Kaweco, and it is the Kaweco Collection Vibrant Violet. There was already one released this year, which was Kaweco Collection Light Lavender, which was a plastic one. This is an aluminium one. It has gold trim, so this is gold color. It doesn't look like, but it is. And this has a medium steel nib, and inside it has Kaweco Summer Purple. And this nib is very juicy, very nice to use. So this is a beautiful color that will be around only in 2021. So search for stores. I will leave a link below. This will be out. This will be, I think it is already available for pre-order, but it will be available to delivery very soon. The next pen that I'm going to show you is from a different brand, now located in France. And that brand is called Parker, and this is one of my favorite pens ever regarding its design. Maybe someday I may need to make a video about pen design, and I think this is an iconic one. It is inspired in the Parker 51, but with some changes. This one is a sorry, I'm forgetting. It is a cartridge converter pen, but it is a very well made one. And this is the Parker 100 Smoke Bronze. This pen is no longer available, but you can still find it. It has a fine, although very wide nib, gold nib, and inside it has one of my favorite ever Parker Quink Black. And I have to confess, one of the reasons that I love Parker Quink Black and the vintage Parker Quink is because of the smell. The ink has a very particular smell that I really like. And the next pen is a little older. It is a Parker Rialto. It has this look which is quite similar to the look of a Parker Vector. So this is the Parker Rialto with, I never remember which nib this one has. It is a fine nib. It's written there on the feed. So with a fine steel nib, and inside it has vintage Parker Quink green ink inside. This pen is this nib is very stiff, more inexpressive, and it has a little bit of feedback, and so it's really different from the experience of writing with the Parker 100 that I did before, and it is different from writing with the next pen, which is a very nice pen, the Parker Centennial Duofold Big Red. This is not the vintage, this is the modern, and I love this pen. This was my first purchase ever from Applebaum, even before I started collaborating with them in the channel. So this is the Parker Centennial, which means it is the bigger size, Centennial Duofold Big Red with a fine, again, a quite wide nib. It skipped because I rotated the nib there. With this one has a gold nib also. You can see it here. It is an 18 karat gold nib. And inside it has Parker Quink Black again. This pen has some feedback very different from the feedback of the Parker Rialto. It's really, really different, but it is a very good pen. The next pen is also a Parker Centennial Duofold, but this one is no longer available, and it is a very nice finish that I like a lot. This green is so beautiful. Also the same 18 karat gold nib. So this one is skipping a little bit. I have not been using it since I inked it, so that's it. I need to maybe to clean it and to ink it again. This is the Parker Centennial Duofold Olive Check. And this is one of 3 olive pens that have olive names inside. With also a fine nib. And inside it has diamine, salamander, and this color is a strange one because it really is kind of a grayish green color, which is nice, but it is very hard to show. Sometimes it looks more on the gray side, on the brown side, or on the green side, but it is one of those muddy greens that I like. So, from France, where some of these Parkers were made, we will jump to Italy again, and from Italy, and I have to say, I have to confess that I'm getting more and more into Italian pens, so you'll see them a lot. And here I have a Tibaldi, and this finish is amazing. And this is called Olive in its name. So this is the Tibaldi Bononia Martini Olive. This one has a fine steel nib, but this nib is very, very good. It has that eagle there, which is the symbol of Tibaldi. It is a fine nib with an ebonite feed, and ebonite feeds make all the difference. And has this section that has no step up to the barrel. It is very well made. And it has inside one of my favorites, the Mont Blanc Daniel Defoe. And you can see for a fine nib, the ebonite feed makes wonders, and I'm just a little bit sad that there aren't that many pens with ebonite nibs, and I think that is a very good addition. And now, we've been in Italy, which is a country that is growing on me because of the pens they have. I have here, how many? I have the Montegrappa 1 and Tibaldi 2 and Nettuno 3. So I have 3 pens from Italy, and there will be more during this video. But China is also a place where there are many interesting pens, and I have here this very beautiful finish of a Jinhao Centennial, which is heavily inspired by Parker, by the Parker Duofold model. This one has a Fude nib, which has that upward thing. So this is the Jinhao Centennial, and it allows for this kind of writing with the Koi finish, or Red Koi, or whatever, and it has a Fude nib. If you write in reverse, you can even write smaller, so you allow for lots of line variation, and it has some ink mix. This pen takes it all inside. When I have a cartridge that I'm getting to the end and I just want to change the pen or to clean that pen, I transfer with an ink syringe that remaining ink into here, and I keep writing with it. So this has a mix of inks. You shouldn't do that because there are problems or potential problems of some reaction between inks and creating precipitates that will clog the feed. I am risking it. After all, it's just a Jinhao pen. It is available, it is affordable, and you can buy extra nibs and feeds. But so far, no problem. This pen works great. And from China, we'll keep ourselves in China, and you know that I love the Parker Duofold design. So I showed you 2 Parker Centennial Duofolds. I showed you a Nettuno 1911, which has almost the same kind of design, and another Jinhao Centennial. This one is very similar to the Parker Duofold. It even has the Jinhao Century there engraving on the barrel, but this one has a regular straight F nib. So this is the Jinhao Centennial. Let's call it Century. That's how it is engraved on the barrel, with a fine steel nib, and inside it has, try to guess, Parker Quink Black Vintage ink. This one is still inked with this. It is quite wet. This nib is very, very good. It is fine, as it is supposed to be. And if you compare the fine on the Jinhao with the fine on the Duofold, you can see the... Well, that's all out of focus, sorry. The nib size between these 2 pens is really different. but it is still very wet, even being so fine. So very, very, very well made. This pen is really impressive. And the next pen is also a Jinhao Centennial, yes, again, but this one has a different finish that is more similar to the finish of that Parker Duofold olive check that I showed you. This has the same fine nib as the previous pen, but it has gold trim instead of the chrome trim. So this is the Jinhao Centennial blue checkerboard with a fine steel nib, and guess which ink is inside? I bet you didn't guess it. It is Jinhao black. So that's it. And here is how this pen performs, and you can see that the Jinhao Centennial, these are the same pens with the same nibs. It is more wet with the Parker Quink Black than with the Jinhao Black cartridge that this one has inside. And from China, as I promised you before, we'll go again to Italy. And in Italy, I have one of the brands that I really enjoy, which is Leonardo. And I have this very beautiful pen. This is the... Let me just show it. It has a little fiber there on the feed. This one has a steel fine nib, but an ebonite feed, which is a very nice feature, as I told you. So this is the Leonardo, and I will simplify these, Officina Italiana Furore Grande, with the color is blue Positano. This is cutting the name because the name is very big, with a fine steel nib, and the color it has inside is Leonardo blue, which is a very beautiful shade of blue. And believe me, I'm not a fan of blue, but you can see how intense that color is. I really like it. The next pen that I have to show you is another Leonardo, but this is the Momento Zero Grande in sand, which is a very beautiful material that is quite similar with the material of that Tibaldi that I showed you, but Tibaldi is green and this one is in sand color, very beautiful. So this is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande as the other one. This means this is a piston filler, sand with a fine steel nib, and inside it has an ink that I'm really enjoying, which is diamine or diamine Macassar. These nibs actually allow for a little line variation, not much, but they allow for some. So you can see the nib is the same as on the Furore Grande. The next pen, I need to flip the page. Let me do that. Put it here and let me show you the next pen, which is this. This is beautiful pen. This is just beautiful. This is the new collection. This is the Pura, and this one has ruthenium trim. So the trim is black in a very bright, vivid and translucent orange pen. And so this is the Leonardo Officina Italiana, let's abbreviate even more, Momento Zero Grande Pura, which is this line that has 3 different finishes, and this is called Arancio Fiammante, which means flaming orange, and it has a fine steel nib, but it is different from the nibs on the Momento Zero Grande that I showed you and the Furore Grande, because the other ones had Bock nibs and this one is Iovo nib, also number 6, also piston filler, and you can even see the mechanism inside. And the color it has is a very beautiful one, Leonardo Smeraldo blue. So very nice color. I put this here, so this is under the shade of, and I didn't do that. Now you can see, I find that these Iovo nibs are much more stiff than the nibs on the Bock nibs of the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande pens. And the other one that I have, the last Leonardo for today, is also a pen from the Pura collection. It is a very beautiful one. This is dark. You can call it gray or black as you prefer, and you can see the orange ink here inside. Also piston filler, also with black trim. So this is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande Pura. This one is called Grigio Antracite, which means anthracite gray, with also a fine steel nib. And the color is Leonardo, let me just check the name, Arancio Tarocco. And it is quite wet. These pens are really well made with also the ebonite feet, so they are really good pens, and they have a large size, large ink capacity, about 1.5 milliliters, and number 6 nib, so really good pens. And from the Leonardo in Italy, we will jump back to Asia, this time to Japan. And the pen that I have, the first pen I have to show you from Japan is this one. This is a pen that has some dings. I've showed you this pen before. It writes wonderfully. This is a Pilot Elite, which is kind of the same size as the nowadays Pilot Silvern, but the Pilot Silvern has a different shape of clip. This has Pilot there, and it is not a ball. It is the Elite, the full-size one. And it is a very interesting pen. It is from 1968 or 1969. It has a strange filling system, which is kind of button filler, but with an accordion sac, which is no longer available. So I made up a cartridge for it. I made a video on that if you want to check it. So I have a costume cartridge made to put in this pen, but I think I will replace the filling system that's no longer available, but I will do something, and maybe I'll show it to you in a video. This pen is really amazing. It has a very big nib. Sometimes people ask me, but is that nib that big? And I have to say, yes, it is. Let me show you the nib on the Leonardo, the Pura. You can see this is a number 6 nib. And this is the nib on the Pilot Elite. It is very big. It just has a very different shape. So, this is the Pilot Elite in silver, and it has a full-size pen instead of a pocket pen. It is sterling silver. It's missing there the sterling, and it has a manifold nib. So, which means that this nib is made of gold. It is an 18 karat gold nib, and it is a manifold. You can see there written above Pilot, which means it was made to write on carbon paper or carbon copy paper. I don't know how you call it. And it is great. So it has inside pilot Hiroshizuku. I'm not good saying the names of these pens. Tsutsuki, which is a very dark brown. And this pen even allows for line variation, which is not supposed with a manifold nib, but it does, because it is supposed to be a very rigid nib, but it allows for line variation. It's very good, it is very wet, and the manifold is equivalent to a M. It's like a very sturdy M. The next pen is this thing, which is a pilot pen that has a shape similar and a size similar to the Pilot Costume 74, but it's actually an older version. It's called the Pilot Costume 67, and it has some differences, and they're not much, but the main difference is the bands there. It has only 2 bands, and I think it's instead of a large one, and I think it's missing 1 band there, and I think this has a nicer look. Here you have the nib. It is a number 5 pilot nib. So number 5 pilot, which is different from the usual number 5 nib. So this is the Pilot Costume 67 with a medium gold nib, as I showed you. This is a gold nib, 14 karat gold nib, but it has inside Kaweco caramel brown. But I have to say that this pen has some very bouncy nib. It's not a flexy nib, but you can get lots of line variation easily from this pen, which is quite nice. So this is a very, very pleasant writer. It will not flex and write too broad if you are not aware of that. You really need to press it a little harder, but not much. It just works well with you in a very natural way. So I really enjoy this pen. The next pen is also a pilot pen, this one that I got in an exchange with Wasky Squirrel. I'm very happy with it. It is a pilot Fermo, which means it is a pilot capless, but works by rotating this end knob. This has a dark green color. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera. It looks black, but it is dark green. So this is the pilot Fermo green with a fine gold nib, and inside it has the private reserve avocado. It's still written with an A because it is an older bottle, and it has a very nice fine pilot nib that I always enjoy, and you can see there, Pilot Fermo Japan. So very nice pen that I'm really happy to have. It was one of my wish list. The next pen will come from Italy again. So, and I think we'll still have 3 pens from Italy. I guess so. And this pen is this yellow, very nice pen. This is one of those everyday writer, but not just an everyday writer, but I think this pen is a writer's pen. Not the pen that a writer will take to sign autographs, but the pen that you'll use to write a full novel with it. It has a semi-hooded nib, but it is a very, very good writer. So this is the Aurora Duo Card in yellow. It has a medium steel nib. It's only available with steel nibs and medium, nothing more. And it has inside something very unexpected, which is the Parker Quink Black. It is a good pen with a very good ink flow, no flex at all, quite wet. It works wonderfully. It posts in a very comfortable way, so if you like to post, I think this is amazing, and most of all it is yellow, and I love yellow pens. And if I tell you that I like Italian pens, that's also true that I like that kind of design with the semi-hooded nib of Aurora. And so I recently got this one, which is also very difficult to show because of the reflections. It has this brushed steel, but it is very texturized steel. It is an Aurora, not the Duocard, but it is the Aurora 98. It is a very similar pen. You have this textured section also, and the semi-hooded nib. This one is a gold nib, and it takes cartridge or converters. And this is the Aurora 98, let's call it brushed steel. It has a, which nib does this one have? Is medium nib. It is narrower than the nib on the Duocard, but this is a vintage nib and that is a modern one. And it has inside an Aurora blue cartridge. So this pen will not provide much line variation. Also, it is wet enough, very decent pen to write. This one has a different texture, but overall I would say it is very comparable with the Aurora Duocard. And now, the step of Italy is done. We'll come back to Italy once again, but now we will go to Germany again, and we have a Pelikan, the only Pelikan here on this lineup, and this is a Pelikan M200 with this steel nib and the transparent barrel. So this is the Pelikan M200. The color is transparent Antracite. It is a very nice transparent color with a fine nib, although it is very wet and maybe too broad for my taste. And inside it has a ink that I don't know how to spell, and I'm not sure if I'm spelling it correctly. It's Aurora and Glamour Alt Gold Grün, which is a very beautiful, warm colored green ink in a very wet nib. And this is a very beautiful pen. Also the same kind of very beautiful ink, that's what I meant, in a smaller pen. This ink, I really like it. It's on the same family of the Moonman Daniel Defoe, but it is more orange, more yellow. So you can see here you have this pen that this green is more colder tone. This is really a warmer tone. But I will show you once more during this video. The last pen will have also Moonman Daniel Defoe, and you'll be able to see the different greens. And this is a very inexpensive pen that I need to review. It has not been used a lot. It is mostly here waiting for a review, so I hope the ink didn't dry on the pen. A little. So this is the Centropen Student. So an older pen from Czechoslovakia, when Czechoslovakia still existed. 2069 with a fine steel nib, and it has inside Kaweco Royal Blue. I would say this is an okay pen. It is wet enough. It is a school pen, so we cannot expect lots of special things, but it reminds me a little bit of the Parker 45. And from Czechoslovakia, that no longer exists, we'll go to Japan again. Yes, lots of Japanese pens also. And we have this brass pen that will uncap like this, and it is also a pocket pen, a Japanese pocket pen, but a modern one. And you can see there, it's from Traveler's Company that made that Midori Traveler notebook. And this is the Travelers Company. It skipped a little bit there, I don't know why. In brass with a fine steel nib, and the ink it has inside is Visconti turquoise. It has the nib is on the stiff side. It is really a pocket pen to take everywhere and to use everywhere because it is more on the short size and will fit pockets, and it's easy and very sturdy. You will not ruin this pen easily. And from Japan, we will keep ourselves in Japan, and we have this strange thing that I find amazing. You can post it if you want it. And this is like a cartoon of a pen. Very nice. This pen I find that has a very big problem because it dries on the pen. The nib dries. This is a platinum Glamour, and you can see it dried, and I've been using this pen, but it dries almost every time that if I keep it for 2 days kept, the nib dries. And you can see even that this is Kaweco palm green, and you can see that it is too dark. It looks almost black because it dried. So with Kaweco palm green, when it goes, it is very good, but when it's dry, it's annoying how it dries. But this is a pen that is very uncommon. This is the Platinum Glamour, and it is a vintage, an older pen that has it is fat and short, and it's fun. And this pen was copied, or another Japanese pen inspired in this one to create this thing. And this is the Tombow, also a Japanese pen, with the same overall look. A very short pen with a very wide nib. And if you want to get similar thing, you can check on eBay, because I think it was released today, another pen, Moonman Q1, which is a pen that has the same shape, but it is an eyedropper pen, not a cartridge. These are cartridge pens. So, following the same philosophy of a very short but stubby pen. And this is the Tombow, that has the same annoying problem, which is it dries. The Tombow Zoom 828 FP with a fine steel nib, and it has Kaweco Pearl Black. I know that Kaweco inks are not the wettest, but it is somehow annoying how these pens dry, and you cannot see it, but believe me, the pen is not empty. I have had some people saying to me that this could not happen if I used wetter inks on these pens. Even when kept or left kept for some days, they would write again if the ink was wetter. And we will go for the last few pens. So I'm here in Portugal, and we'll go to the other side of the border, to Spain, to this pen, which is a very interesting one, because it has a long section which is integrated with the barrel, and this is the piston knob, so it is an interesting pen, and has a hooded nib. This is the Super T Olimpia, and it writes well, it's well made. It has a fine gold nib, and the ink inside it is Parker Quink Black. And you can see that this pen is really good. It's really fun to use. and it's very uncommon, so can search for it on eBay. Super T Olimpia, and it is a very interesting pen. And we'll keep ourselves in the European Union, and we'll go to Ireland to see this beauty. This is another pen that is very hard to show on camera, but look at it. It has skulls there. I wish I could show it properly. Okay, now I think you can see. It has some skulls on its design, on the cap and also on the barrel. And it's very, very, very hard to show on camera, but it's a beautiful pen. It is from a brand called Gravitas on Ireland. It has a medium Yovo nib, generic nib, but very good. So this is the Gravitas stainless steel skull edition with a medium steel nib, a wonderful one with a very beautiful ink, which is Montblanc William Shakespeare, that when it's over and it's not made anymore. But it's a very beautiful ink. Forget about that smear test because my finger is like that, so the smear tests are just to show the wetness, not how the pen will write. Let me just tell you something more. The Kaweco Palm Green is not an ink that has sheening, but if you look at what I wrote with Platinum Glamour, it shows some sheening because I think what happened there, now I cannot show it, it is so thick and it is so dense that it takes a lot of time to dry, and then there is some sheen left because it dried. I think I really need to clean the pen and to replace the ink for some other brand and see how it performs. Now, from Ireland we'll go to the United States with a very classic Sheaffer pen. And this is the Sheaffer Targa. The model is the 1001 in stainless steel with chrome trim. There is one L too much. And this one has a fine steel nib, and inside it has Sheaffer script jet black, which is a nice plain black ink that is quite wet. This pen is wet enough for a fine nib and works well, and I'm quite pleased, but there is no line variation at all. Now we go, 3 pens to go. We have this from China that has a little dove with some olive leaves talking about peace. This is it has a very beautiful material. It has an interesting nib, and this is the Hongtian 960 Nebula Orange. That's the name of the color, with a fine steel nib, and inside it has Lamy Blue. This pen has little line variation. The nib is not the smoothest, but it's not scratchy, it just has some feedback, and it is really wet enough to write with. So I think this is a very nice pen for its price from China. And we'll keep ourselves in China with a very interesting pen, because this really is a very good performer. It is a Kaigalu that has that little kangaroo there. It is yellow, but a very pale one that you can even see the inside parts of the pen. And they have released these pens in 2020, and this year they released it again with some variations. It has also the kangaroo on the nib. And so this is it is a cartridge filler pen. This is the Kaigalu 316 in yellow. It has a very good nib. This is a fine steel nib with The ink inside is Kaweco Midnight Blue, and this is the kind of line variation you may get. And check the wetness. For a fine nib, it is really, really good. So, very interesting pen, also in that kind of Parker Duofold style. And the final pen is a very exciting pen. This pen is amazing, and it is my latest Italian pen acquisition. It is wonderful. It has a wonderful color. It has a wonderful finish. It has wonderful details. I really love this pen, and you can see there it is Centini Italia. So it is Centini, made in Italy, and you can see it has this very beautiful nib that is made by Centini themselves. It is an 18 karat gold nib made in-house. You can see here the other side with an ebonite feed. And this is a piston filler pen. It has a very short piston knob, but it is a piston filler pen. And this is a stiff nib. They make flexible nibs, modern flexible nibs, which is very fun. But I don't like flexible nibs, so I went for a regular one. So this is the Centini Libra Olive. So the third pen that has olive on the name, with a fine gold, 18 karat gold nib. And it has inside the ink that I was telling you about, the Mont Blanc Daniel Defoe. That's an ink that is, I'm getting, the bottle is now empty. I just have some ink inside of a Visconti Traveler's inkwell, and I think that this ink is maybe too dark to match the color. I think that next time that I will ink this pen, I will use the Rohrer and Klingner Alt Goldgrün. That is a better match for this pen. So this is how the pen writes. This has a stiff nib. However, you can even take this kind of line variations, which is great. It has some feedback, but smooth and wet. So a very, very good pen that I'm very happy to have, because it has a gold nib made in-house with lots of options. I asked the brand, and this was not sponsored, they did not send this to me for free. I bought it with my own money, but it's not that expensive for a gold nib pen made with a nib that is made in-house. And this pen was not available with silver trim, just with gold trim, and I asked if they could make it with chrome trim, and they said yes, of course, and to have a rhodium plated nib. And another thing that is fun, and I will end up this video now, is that this nib looks small because the pen is big, but believe me, it happens because the pen is big. I will show it here next to a Leonardo. Maybe it is a little bit shorter, but no, really it isn't. It's more, here on Leonardo you will have the continuity of the metal because of this band there, but it's not a short nib. It is just quite a big pen that makes the nib look short. But it is an amazing pen. I'm very, very happy with this, and I think this is the kind of brand that we should support, because they are making nice stuff. Well, this is all I had to show you. This video was very, very long. I showed you 43 inks, and I promise that I will try. I just promise that I'll try to have less pens inked for next month's video. So this is all I had to show you. I hope you enjoyed this very long video, and I hope to meet you here on the channel soon. Bye.